In the studio with me, Michael Talal was carjacked. Jade Gormley, victim of an aggravated burglary. Tony Fialides, co-owner of IMP Jewelleries, twice violent robberies in that jewellery shop. Lynn has called in. Hello, Lynn.
Good morning, Neil.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My daughter's been robbed twice in the last 2 weeks. Cash has been stolen last time. Last night, I got a phone call at 1 o'clock. She'd been robbed again. They'd managed to get a safe that was screwed to the ground. They'd managed to get the entire safe out of the shop.
Was this in a business, was it?
Yeah, this is a small business.
She wasn't there.
Old.
Hope she wasn't there. Good.
No, both times she wasn't there, but she's only 24 years old trying to run a small business. You know, what help can she get from the government? Insurance doesn't cover anything because it's cash. And, you know, what help is there out there for these poor people trying to run a small business?
That's a good point, Lynn. Hang on, I'd like to get a contact point for you. But to think of a 24-year-old starting off their business getting robbed twice, that's just really is just obscene. Do you, all three of you, feel that after the events happened that you had a voice with the police listening? Do you think your concerns were absorbed? Jade, did you feel you hadn't had a voice or not?
Yeah, I definitely had a voice, and I definitely believe her daughter would as well. You have a voice, but I feel like it's only for a limited time.
Yeah.
There's only a limited window for that to be heard, and then as soon as you start to try to make waves to, you know, get help to fix your issue, then there's a backlog in when that comes about.
Okay. Tony, how do you feel the police handled it? Because they are stretched. They're getting more numbers, but they are stretched.
Look, I've met with a lot of police over the last few months. I've made a point of it. I personally think they sort of try, but the higher-ups in the police force now, to me, are just like spin doctors. I'm not getting much from them. The guys on the ground, I think they really try, and I'm very sympathetic to the fact that they go into court and they can waste hours and hours just to see somebody walk out. Yeah. That must be incredibly frustrating, and it's got to destroy a lot of your confidence, but they still keep going. We obviously need a police force. I for one, have always liked to see police around.
Police presence.
Police presence, fabulous. I like it. I mean, I was in Burke Street yesterday and I saw 4 police walking up Burke Street. Looks good.
Jade, police in your case, how were they?
Yeah, so at the beginning they came to the incident quite fast, which was great. The issue that I didn't realise at the time was that when they'd left my home, they left us alone with no front door, no security, no one to stay. I didn't actually think about it at the time because I was a bit shaken up and I just thought everything was going to be okay. I was still, you know. But, yeah, there was no one there just to even just stand around. And someone that I spoke to later about it rectified that situation and was able to talk to the police officers that were there that morning. But afterwards, just trying to contact someone that knows what's going on is very difficult. It keeps getting chopped and changed between different stations, different officers, different sergeants, and I can never quite find who's taking care of my case anymore.
Michael, you were one of the first carjackings to get attention, and it's become significantly more common since. How did you find the police?
Look, at the time, I think the police response was fantastic. They were there on site within 5-10 minutes as soon as the crime was reported. And I think the follow-up was great. I was in contact with the detective handling my case from the task force that was dealing with the carjackings at the time. I still am in contact with him, and as a matter of fact, when I leave today, I will be calling him to speak to him about the sentence that was handed down to the guy last week.
Which we should say, you're campaigning, you felt it was inadequate, and you've got a petition available.
Absolutely, yeah. I've currently got a petition. So the sentence was basically no conviction, $3,000 fine, which was then turned into a charitable donation to a charity of my choosing, and that was it. He walked straight out of court for basically stealing my car and running around with it for 2 days.
So he didn't insult you?
Look, when I turned up to court that morning and I saw him, I've never seen him before that day, but I straight away recognised him. He was there that night, I do remember that, but there was no adequate evidence to charge him with the carjacking itself.
Christine. Hello, Christine.
Yeah. Between October and December last year, I had 6 burglaries. I own several homes. They were at different homes. I was at one of the homes when the offender turned up. For the 7th burglary, I identified her, called the police. I received nothing back at all. 2 weeks later, there was a hotberg. We attended and just missed the offenders.
Is this in the metropolitan area or regional?
It's Bellarine Peninsula.
Okay.
It was 6 o'clock in the morning. The offenders took off within a couple of minutes of us arriving. We called in the hotberg, and we were told not to approach the offenders if, they were still there. We proceeded to wait for 12 hours for the police to attend. After 4 phone calls, I'm an ex-member.
12 hours?
12 hours. I'm an ex-member. I continued to call the police just to say, we're still sitting here waiting. Police arrived, took the initial reports, and I have been emailing and phoning the CI at Geelong ever since, and I've received 0. Now, the offender turned up at one of these houses, and I spent 2 weeks trying to get some sort of response regarding this offender.
I'll tell you what, Christine, hold on for a moment. I'd like to get a contact point from you off air rather than go through the detail now. We can explore it at another time. Just hold on. Okay, what ideas are we coming up with here? The fingerprinting idea, that everybody's fingerprinted and therefore easier to identify. Tougher sentences. And Tony, you're suggesting, mandatory sentences? Mandatory minimums?
Minimum sentence.
As the opposition is
yes,
heading towards.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very good idea, actually.
Jade, you're talking about the responsibility of government and that sort of issue.
Yeah, the investigation into the root of the cause and education into these groups or communities and where the problem's starting. And
See, the people have dodged around it, but there is an ethnic base here. And these may be Australian-born young people. We're talking about some of them.
Yes.
But disproportionate number of African background. Now, why?
That's what I'd like to know. I mean, I know that over in their country, their rules are completely different. But if some of them are born here, why are they adopting that type of culture in this society where we are not about that? We're about multiculturalism. And yes, we may have less harsher penalties than other countries, but that's the whole point of being in Australia.
So I wonder whether harsher penalty, they won't be a deterrent, they'll be a punishment.
No, they're not a deterrent.
I don't think anything's going to deter some of these people.
It's only gotten worse. And I feel like other people are then copycatting these communities and groups thinking, okay, if they can get away with it because of whether it's their ethnic background or their age, then other people are now copycatting and doing the same thing to others.
Michael, any other ideas?
Well, look, I think long term we definitely need to look at educating these people. So, if you come from a disadvantaged background, educating the younger children, especially on social integration, involving them into the society, involving them into the social makeup of Melbourne or the country even, it will prevent them from turning to crime because of their disadvantaged upbringing. Now, we need to also look at the fact that disadvantaged upbringing
they're committing these crimes, the police tell me, for a thrill. It's exciting, as in Jade's case, they got a thrill out of it. It's not even a need for money. It's better than working, they say, but it's a thrill. It's the, what did Graham Ashton call it, one of those, the Grand Theft Auto generation. Yeah.
Look, I think if that is the case, then the tougher sentences right now will deter them. It will be a deterrent because when they see that somebody who's gone and stolen a car or somebody who's broken into a home has received a 5-year jail sentence, then they're going to think twice about doing it. Whereas when they see that they've walked out of court with a $2,000 or $3,000 fine and a slap on the wrist, they're not going to care.
Any other ideas to throw in before we wrap up?
I still think a good idea would be for the government to talk to some of these community leaders or seek out the community leaders. I think that's imperative.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, they just really need to get them on side.
Because as you say, many in the community are as frustrated as anybody.
They are. I've seen that firsthand, and I'd really like to see some inroads into that.
Well, Sorry,
sorry,
Joe,
I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say I also think that looking into the juvenile justice system a little bit more as to what's going on, especially in like the juvenile detention centres like Parkville, for example.
Yeah.
So I've actually seen video footage of these offenders videoing each other in the centre on their iPads, having a good time. They've got phones available. So what kind of correctional facility is that in... like, again, say an adult prison. Like, adult prison, they're not going to get out and start waving around things on the roofs. Like, what's going on here?
Okay.
Stop the picnic.
Stop
yeah,
the picnic.
investigation is definitely needed and
Michael's
education.
nodding too. You agree?
Absolutely. It's prison at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming in. We'll keep in touch. We'll pursue the ideas, but also congratulations on not being victims. So that's important to all of
Yeah,
you, isn't it?
definitely.
You're not victims.
Absolutely.
No, we're going
Definitely
to
not
rise above
victims.
and be a voice.
We're getting on with it.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to get this petition up and running. So
Where is it?
hopefully we're at 3,000 signatures now a weekend.
And
so,
how do people find it?
it's on change.org. If you just search for my hashtag, Victoria Demands Better, you will be able to sign.